So I saw a video recently regarding the Jay Slater missing persons investigation, and I just wanted to give some of my thoughts and theories on what it is that's being said. Now, absolutely no disrespect to this creator whatsoever. I personally think that we all work so much better as a collective. This isn't really giving criticism or any negativity towards this creator. It's just some of the things that I learned that might be interesting, that might help out with some of the things that's been said. So a video's come out and Wax Unfiltered has given his opinion on it, and the video that's been released claims that Ayub confirms that Lucy May is lying. So before we start, I did post a video about 2 weeks ago. In that video, I'd learned and obtained some information very early on, in which something that I found super interesting about Spanish authorities was that it was never them that found the last two known people to have been with Jay Slater. Very early on, we actually learned that it was Lucy May Law that was the one that tracked down these two individuals that were last known to have been with Jay. And this was kind of problematic and questionable in itself, was that she herself had done a load of Facebook digging, gone through loads of photos, and managed to have found the last two known people to have been with Jay Slater. Now at that point, fair enough, but she did also claim that she was able to find the last two known people to have been with Jay, and once she knocked on the door and introduced herself and started asking questions, she claimed that very early on that these two were very uncomfortable about the fact that she had tracked them down. Now, almost 4 weeks later, Ayub himself said to Mark Williams Thomas that after Jay had left his accommodation, he had received a phone call from one of Jay's friends. One of Jay's friends then informed Ayub that Jay had rung him to tell him that he was in a ditch somewhere, bleeding, and had cut his leg on a cactus. Now, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, feel free to go check them out, but I have too questioned what Ayub then done after learning this information. If he was only a 5-minute drive away, and Jay had just rang his friend to tell him that he'd fallen into a ditch, as well as the fact that Jay had sent a pinpoint location to both Lucy May and Brad, meaning that whoever had contacted Ayub to tell him what Jay had just told him, could have also dropped this location to Ayub for him to be able to go and look for Jay a lot earlier on. So this is a bit of key information that's currently puzzling, as we have no idea what Ayub did after learning about Jay going missing. Like, I personally wouldn't learn that an individual that I was just with was bleeding in a ditch somewhere, cut his leg on a cactus, was lost, dehydrated, had 1% battery on his phone, and would then just go back to bed. I myself would then go out, get in my car, and definitely go and search for the individual. But very early on in this investigation, it was said that Lucy May Law is the individual that tracked down the last two known people to have been with Jay Slater. This is why she was very funny about Spanish authorities. She didn't feel like they were doing enough in this case, and she made the statement herself that it was her that had to go and track them down, as opposed to Spanish authorities looking into this lead themselves. So let's take a little look into this video and let's try and make some sense of it.
Through Instagram. This is extremely interesting. Let's hear what's being said.
I said, how have you been dragged into the Jay Slater thing? You gave an interview to the investigator. It's weird. He's not even the police. The way the media have painted it looks weird, but you literally have given a comment every time on the situation, and the police have let you go for a reason. I'm thinking, surely. He said, bro, he's a mate of one of my mates. The media make it look like I grabbed some random guy off the road. He said, trust me, he's been to the police in that country and done 2 separate interviews and showed them the photos and videos on my phone collaborating with my statement. The media know what they're doing. He said they added an extra year to his age just to feed their narrative and making me look that extra weirdo. I said, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be what people jump to because you was the last person to see him. He said, true bro, I shut my door and went back to sleep. He made a few phone calls and I haven't seen him since, so saying I was the last person to see him isn't really true, is it? I said, oh, I see. I just hope he's found. It's been so long. Not just you, everyone that knows him has been dragged into it. It's an unsolved case and the internet will go crazy. He said, trust me, they're all ripping into Lucy, but she was the first at my door knocking for him when she woke me up.
There you go. I told you we got evidence to back it up. Ayub is actually claiming that Lucy was the first one at his door knocking that woke him up.
So reading from what it says here, it says, not gonna lie, it's just gonna be what people jump to because you was the last person to see him. True bro, but I shut my door and went back to sleep. He made a few phone calls and others have seen him since. Now, this would be in regards to the fact that Ayub had claimed that he was awoken to a ringing noise. The ringing noise was the next door neighbours asking Qasim to move his car out the front. Now, through corroboration, this would have been confirmed by Spanish authorities after learning the last two known people to have been with Jay, as he would have given this story over to Spanish authorities, who would have then gone to the next door neighbours and simply asked if this was true. They too would have given over their version of events, and this then creates cooperation between the two, as these two that don't know each other are both claiming the same thing. And what the neighbours claimed was that while Qasim was moving his car, Jay Slater was there and had asked them what time the bus was coming. Not only that, but then another resident in Spain also came forward to Spanish authorities as a witness, in which she told the police that she did see Jay around 8:30 a.m. at the bus stop. He asked her what time the bus would be coming. She told him around 10 a.m. and then around 25 minutes later, she saw Jay walking in the opposite direction from his accommodation. This too then matches with the fact that Jay sends a pinpoint location to his friends, which shows the police that yes, Jay was walking in the opposite direction, but he was too spotted by a local resident. So yes, Ayub Qasim is one of the last known people to have seen Jay, but so are a couple of other people. The thing is that's questionable here though is these individuals immediately came forward. They had no problem with telling the media and the police this. It's taken 4 weeks for Ayub Qasim to come out with this. He then says, so saying that I was the last to see him isn't really true, is it? The individual then replies, oh I see, I just hope he's found, man, it's been so long. Not just you, but everyone that knows him has been dragged in. When it's an unsolved case, the internet goes crazy. Ayub Qasim then replies, bro, trust me, they're all ripping into Lucy. But she was the first at my door looking for him. She woke me up. Imagine. Now, this is where I think the message has been misconstrued a little bit, as what I'm going to say will go out on a limb here and potentially say, and I do think this case has a lot of unanswered questions in this, is that he's not actually structured together an entire paragraph as to what's happened. It's just a very minute back and forth conversation in which a lot of information isn't being given out. When he's saying that she's the first at my door, he's not saying that she's the first individual that day at my door. He's saying that she's the first individual who's at my door looking for Jay. And that what he's saying is that the internet is ripping into her, and imagine that when she's the first person that tried to find where Jay was. But what is weird in what the individual was saying is that from the statement that he gave Mark Williams Thomas, an investigator who's now flown out to Tenerife, is that he said that he was awoken that morning to a ringing noise, as we know, by the next door neighbour. He comes downstairs, moves his car. While he's doing this is when Jay then asks the neighbour about the bus. Basically after that then tells Qasim that he's going because he's hungry, thirsty, and he's just going to get a bus back to his accommodation, which is when apparently Qasim told him, it's fine, relax, you're more than welcome to wait at mine, I'll drop you off in town later on, I just need to wake up a bit. So from him telling the investigator, I just need to wake up a bit, it's assuming that they haven't got much sleep from that night, and he's probably in some way still intoxicated from the night previously, and therefore is going to go and take himself back to bed. So when Jay then leaves the house, it's said that Ayub Qasim tells Jay if he needs to come back to the accommodation for whatever reason, he is more than welcome to. Now, for whatever reason, Jay clearly doesn't do this. He almost gets as far away as possible, goes off-road and into a very weird location. So I'm assuming that Ayub Qasim then goes back into the accommodation, goes upstairs and goes back to bed. And at this point, while going back to bed, 20 or so minutes later, he receives a phone call. Now, I'm assuming this phone call must have been placed by Brad, because Brad's the only one that came forward with a statement saying that he was rang by Jay, and Jay had told him that he was in a ditch somewhere with his leg cut up, bleeding from a cactus. And Ayub Qasim later on in his statement said that he was rung by one of Jay's friends, saying exactly this. Questionable though, it seems like Ayub Qasim learnt this information and then just went back to bed. And the second time that Ayub Qasim was woken up would have been by Lucy May banging on the door to find out the location of where Jay was. Which is weird in itself because she's also been dropped a pinpoint location of where Jay is. And this is 25 minutes away from the accommodation. So unless she went to the pinpoint location and then went to every single house after, what I find really weird here is that Lucy May claims that she had to track down Ayub Qasim. But Ayub Qasim claimed that one of Jay's mates rang him to say where Jay was. So that indicates that individuals knew exactly who Jay was with. So it would seem like there was no hunting or necessary tracking needed, as they went straight to the accommodation of where Jay was, which in itself is interesting, as what is the relationship of these individuals to Ayub Qasim? And is the relationship between individuals that know Jay and Ayub Qasim able to give over information to Ayub Qasim as to where Jay is? Are these individuals implicated in something further? Whereas they know someone like Ayub Qasim through a working relationship, through, I don't know, say something like supply and demand, and that one of the reasons why this case is majorly confusing is because they know him from being wrapped up in things like that. So they've all had to give out contradictory statements. They almost all don't know each other but are just friends of a friend, when really they could just be friends of a friend with importance to individuals, as they might have something that others need to obtain when they get to that island. But it's just some food for thought. I hope that one really helps out, and all love and support to this creator. Outside of the box thinking checking sometimes really helps in cases like this, as there are just angles that don't get looked at that might actually implicate a much bigger situation later on. But as always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, as I'd love to know. Like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel, and hit that post notification bell so that you can keep up to date with everything going on regarding the Jay Slater investigation. But if not, then thanks for watching and have a great day.